there's a kitty, and his name is Flashy, and his daddy always had money to feed him, but for now, we don't have no more money, so you'll have to starve and we'll become the Mataso Bunch. There is something neurologically wrong with me. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is part 2 of episode 1 and our continuation of talking about my life the last 8 years and also our interview with tournament poker superstar, tournament director, my man, Matt Savage. 2013 was a big year for me, winning NBC Head Up, winning a stud 8 or better tournament, and things were looking up. I wasn't broke anymore. I didn't owe anybody money anymore. I was mentally pretty clear. Things were really, really on the up for me. Then comes the beginning of 2014. Now, I just took off about 3 months, and I was just kind of not myself. I don't know how to explain it. I wasn't in no pain or anything, but my brain just wasn't working right. And I then started playing again in February of 2014. I started losing. Now, the guy, my friend Kevin, who was staking me, we were playing like 4 and 800, 600, 1200, 800, 1600 mix. And the most we ever were 60,000 in makeup. And I had always told them, I said, we're playing pretty high to never get more than 60,000 in makeup. I'm like, I know I'm good, but I'm not like a robot that just wins every time. I'm like, we're going to lose 200-300 straight. It's just going to happen. Well, lo and behold, about a week later, we lose about 200 in a week, which on the grand scale of things is not much when you're playing 600, 1200 with a straddle limit. I mean, 200,000 is like, you can lose 100 in a day easily. But we lost that 200. I basically said I started to feel like money was kind of tight. And I'm like, are we going to have money for the World Series? And he's like, well, what are we going to need? I'm like, well, we need 150 for cash games and 150 for tournaments. He's like, yeah, we'll have that money. Don't worry. I'm like, all right. So, right after I lost that 200, I took a couple weeks off. The World Series was about 2 weeks away, and he gives me a call and says, I can't stake you at the World Series. We don't have no money. It was like 2 weeks before the World Series. And now I'm just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I then had my family loan me $50,000, and then had Jared Blesnick put up 100. And I got 50%. I was putting up a third of the money. I thought it was a fair deal. He thought it was a fair deal. Let's go back a little bit. In March of that year, I was playing at a Deep Stacks Poker Tour event. I owned 13% of the company, and I was the main basically guy that we marketed the poker tour around. We're playing at the Bike, and this is about a month before the World Series. My chair breaks. I fall straight to the ground. I'm screaming, top of my lungs. The middle of my back was just killing me. They come, security comes running over, about 7 of them. They're like, are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? What do you need to do? And I'm just like, give me a minute. And I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking, chair, my back's just in pain. So the back pain went away. I sat back in the chair. I didn't even file a report. Why I didn't file a report? Because the scumbag fucking partner of mine said, please don't file a report. It'll make our company look bad. I'm just like, make our company look bad. I go, but what if something's wrong with me? You know, he's like, no. He's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm okay. Then just if you feel fine, don't file a report. So I don't file a report. About 2 weeks later, my feet started getting numb, and I thought it was because of testosterone injections that I had just started like the week before. I thought I was having some kind of allergic reaction to it. I wouldn't have any idea why my feet were hurting and I were getting numb, and I couldn't think of anything else. I wouldn't even think about the fall, because like, what could happen with a fall from a chair that could cause, the injury that I have. So I'm at the World Series of Poker 2014. Let's go back, like I said, Lesnick put up 100, I put up 50. I basically offered the World Series. I played like 15 events, didn't cash any, and I was off. And I was telling everybody, there is something neurologically wrong with me. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hands I'm supposed to raise, I call. Hands I'm supposed to call, I fold. Whatever I was supposed to do, my brain was not working right. And I had no idea. I wouldn't in a million years think it had anything to do with the chair breaking at the Bikes Club Casino the month before, me falling and pain in my back. All I knew is I was limping real bad, and I was struggling to walk at 2014 World Series, and I was playing horrible. The World Series ends, and we start running around getting tests. And they gave me every test you can possibly think of. And I mean every test you could possibly think of. And they couldn't figure out why my feet were getting numb. And I kept saying, I'm getting paralyzed. I'm getting paralyzed. Somebody help me. I'm getting paralyzed. And I mean, they were looking for vitamin deficiencies. They were looking for hormone deficiencies. They were looking for everything they could find. They couldn't find it. That my girlfriend said, well, why don't you give him a thoracic MRI? And they were like, well, was he in a car accident? No. Well, does he have back pain? No. Well, why would we give him a thoracic MRI? And she said, well, maybe he's got a tumor or something that's pressing on the thoracic spine that's causing him to get paralyzed or whatever. And they're like, we fought with the insurance companies for 2 weeks to get me a thoracic MRI. We finally get it done. 12 days after we get it done, we don't hear nothing back from the doctor. So my girlfriend calls and says, I guess the thoracic MRI come out okay. They said, well, hold on, let me check here. We have some notes on it, and it says, it says you have a 7mm central disc protrusion of your spinal cord, but we don't think that's your problem. We don't think that's your problem. Me and my girl, we kind of looked at each other and said, are they fucking crazy? Of course that's your problem. I mean, for sure that's your problem. So I get a copy of the report. I send it to my friend, Dr. Ray, who's a poker player and a chiropractor in Washington. And everybody who knows that chiropractors, they're like the most anti-surgery people in the whole world. I mean, if they could fix anything without doing surgery, they're going to do it. He reads the report, gets a copy of the MRI, and it wasn't 2 days later. He went and showed it to a friend of his also, and he says, Mike, you're in trouble. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you're in trouble. This is a very, very serious injury. You need a neurosurgeon ASAP. Now, when a chiropractor tells you that, you're like, oh my God, what am I in for? What the fuck? How did this happen? I just didn't know. We go and try and get a neurosurgeon, and they're all booked for months. Of course, they're all booked for months. If I would have waited any longer, I would have been paralyzed. But I kind of got lucky. My dad at the time was playing bridge with one of the best neurosurgeons in town. His name was Dr. Duke, and his mother was playing bridge with his mother. She got me in the next day to see him. I'll never, ever, ever forget the look on his face when he saw the MRI. He saw the MRI. He comes back in and says, "How did you get this?" And I said, "I have no idea." And this is the number one neurosurgeon in Las Vegas. He says, "I can't touch it. This is one of the worst injuries I've ever seen. And you're going to have to go to a specialist that specializes in thoracic spine surgery." And I'm just like, at this time, I'm really in a panic mode. I don't really know what to do. He then gives me the number to a Dr. Seif, who he used to be partners with. Or that was part of his group. I'm one of the two. And to go see him. I go in to see Dr. Seif, and he does thoracic spine surgery the old way. They just cut this big old gash on the side of you. They go in through behind the ribs, and they basically it's 6 months rehab, and it just sounded like a nightmare. I then was told by him to go see a Dr. Smith, who he used to work with, that was the creator of a new thoracic spine surgery where it's minimally invasive, and they use microscopic. So he gives me his number, and I also go and see this Russian doctor, Dr. Kavkin. I'll never forget the look when I first see Dr. Kavkin. I go to Dr. Kavkin, Russian doctor. He comes in with a team of 5 people, and he says the same thing to me. "How did you get this? This is the worst injury he's ever seen. It needs surgery immediately." He said he could do it as long as the discs weren't calcified. I find out I had the surgery scheduled for like the 4th of September. 2 weeks before that, it comes back the discs are calcified, so he can't do the surgery. He then says, "Go see Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, I trained through him. I think he can do it." I go and see Dr. Smith the next day. I'll never forget the look on his face. He had 100 people sitting in his office. It took me an hour and a half to get in his office. I walk in, he looks at my MRI, and he says, "How'd you get this thing, buddy?" He goes, "This is pretty interesting. This is a pretty bad injury you have here." He says, "As a matter of fact, I've never seen one worse." And for doctors, I mean, it's like a kid in a candy store. They see something like this, and it's a challenge for them. They want to do it. He spent the next 2 hours with 100 people waiting in his office with me, saying, "If you don't get this surgery done right away, you will be paralyzed within the next 2 weeks." Now I can barely walk by this time. I'm scared. And we scheduled the surgery. I decide right then and there, this is the guy that's going to do it. He spent all that time with me. My parents, I sent them on a cruise for their 50th wedding anniversary. I told them, don't worry, I didn't want them there for the surgery. I figured they'd be back right after I had the surgery with Kavkin on September 4th. My mom, I tell her what's going on. She now wants to fly home. I told her, please don't. I don't need my mom and my dad there. You know, Jewish parents, they'll just sit there and stress, and I just didn't need them to be there. So we scheduled the surgery for a Sunday. And I really wasn't that worried. You know, I always have faith in God. I thought things would be okay. Dr. Smith told me I would walk 40% better the day after surgery, and that I would need the most 2 weeks worth of pain pills, if not probably no pain pills at all. Then things got kind of dicey. The night before surgery is when I really got scared when the doctor called me on the phone and said, do a lot of praying tonight. I'll never forget that night because I was laying in the bathtub to try and relieve the pain in my feet. Again, I still had no back pain at all, which was really interesting. But when he said do a lot of praying, I was scared. I mean, I was really scared. I didn't know what that meant because I had had a dream a couple of months before that I had died in an operating room. This was like before I even knew I was sick or had anything wrong with me. So here I am thinking, oh my God, this is going to come true, this dream that I had, because whenever I used to have dreams, they always came true. I had a dream Scotty won the World Series. I staked him. He won the World Series. I had a dream I won NBC Head Up. I had no plans on playing it. I won it. So I'm pretty scared after he says do a lot of praying. Go in for surgery. Oh, the little mechanism that's supposed to monitor your spinal cord to make sure that you're not paralyzed or anything just happens to randomly break during the surgery. And they had to wheel me out in the middle of surgery because they thought I was paralyzed on the right side of my body. It ends up the machine broke that was monitoring it. I was supposed to be 1 day in ICU. I was in ICU for 5 days. I was supposed to be in the hospital for 4 days. I was in the hospital for, I think, an extra 7 days. And I was supposed to walk 40% better the next day. I didn't walk at all. I had to go to a place called Health South. And I had to learn how to walk all over again. So basically, that's basically the backstory of my injury. Sure enough, after surgery, I went to about a week after the rehab facility. I went to see him in between, and I had this pain in my side, and my foot was still numb, but he told me that the feet were going to be numb for a good 3 months, not to worry about it. I remember my first steps I took. I remember how hard rehab was, learning how to walk again. It was so hard and so painful and such a battle that I can't even kind of describe to you kind of what happened there. What people don't really realize is over the last 4 years, I've been literally out of the house. Let's see, 6 weeks at the World Series, 4 times. That's 24 weeks. Let's see, I was in LA 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, and 1 week. So that's another 6 weeks. So that's 30 weeks. So you're talking 7.5 months out of the house in the last 4 years, and you add about 1 month more to that. So I've been out of the house 9 months in the last 4 years because of this injury, this debilitating injury that had kept me bedridden for so long. So now that I got this spinal cord stimulator and I'm out of most of the pain except for my foot, which I'm still stuck with, I have somewhat of a life back. So nobody really understands what it's like to live in chronic pain and have no life. When I tell people that I've barely been out of the house the last 4 years, and then I kind of added up how many weeks I've been out of the house, my girl gets on my case that I leave the house like twice a month just to go for dinner, and the rest of the times I just stay in bed in pain. So hopefully that's all behind me now, and we'll be looking forward to a really good 2019.
Road mouth.
All right, so we're on dinner break. We've played 6 levels. What the fuck? How many chips you got?
I have 220,000. The fucking guy double up last hand for me.
Wow. How do you get 100,000 in a fucking pot with aces?
I don't even have 18,000 right now. Two
Anyway,
guy double up. See those?
What do you have?
I have 18,000 exactly.
Well, what the fuck? You got 200,000?
I have 200,000. I have ace, king, a diamond.
So, like, how do you get ace king? Like, how many chips could you get in with ace king?
I raise, I get re-raised. I call the flop fucking ace with 2 diamond. What do you do?
I don't know. And now it's my favorite part of the show, where we take your phone calls and answer your questions. Yo, it's Friday night. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. Who's am I talking with?
This is Mark.
Mark, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, Mike?
I am doing, well, good and shitty. Which side you want? I'm doing shitty because I fucked up at the Bay 101 Shooting Stars early in the day.
That was a shame.
I fucked up early in the day, and I couldn't overcome it. I kept telling myself, if I don't overcome this, I'm not going to be able to sleep for 2 days. And, well, I slept for 2 days straight, actually.
You slept during the tournament?
No, when I got home yesterday, I got home at like 4 o'clock. And I think I woke up at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So
wow.
Maybe I was kind of like in depression and I didn't want to wake up. I made a really bad mistake early in day 2 and like an amateur type of call. Like I hadn't made a mistake like that in 3 tournaments. And I was really mad at myself. And I built my stack back up and I lost a flip. If I'd have won that flip with jacks against ace king, then we wouldn't be having this conversation, but whatever.
Damn, you had jacks against ace king.
Yeah, for 180,000 chip pot. We're playing 15 and 3,000. It'd have got me back to about 60 bigs, which is what I started the day with before I grenaded 50 bigs. So.
Oh, damn.
But it's all good.
You know we love you, Mike. You know we love you.
I know. And I had made a mistake in 2 tournaments, which is it's tough to play perfect every tournament. And I jumped back in I hadn't played a no-limit tournament in 2 years. Played 4 days in L.A. I don't think I made a mistake. And then I played 2 days at the Wynn. I didn't make any mistakes. And then day 1 of the Bay 101, I played flawless. And then I decided that I'm going to come in on day 2, and I felt great. I don't know what the fuck made me make the mistake I made, but hey, that's part of poker.
Yep, that is poker. Hey, Mike, let me ask you this. What about the summer, the WSOP? Are you planning on playing a lot of the tournaments then?
I plan on it. I just got to get somebody to stake me, which I should have no problem doing. But
oh yeah, obviously.
I had a really good World Series the last 2 years, but the only problem is all the money I make, all the vultures come running up to me and want me to pay them what I owe them. So I always do that, and then I lose for 2 days, and I'm back in the same ballpark again. But I'm not let that happen this time.
Mike, it is a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best of luck in the future, brother.
You got it, brother. And make sure you listen to all your friends to listen to the podcast when it comes out, all right?
Fantastic, sir. You have a great night.
Thanks. You too, man. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Later, bud.
Later. Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. What's going on? It's Mike.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I am doing okay. How are you?
I'm actually pretty good.
Good.
Just finishing the money in a poker tournament.
That's awesome. I found a way to not finish in the money in the last 2 tournaments somehow. But it's fun to cash.
I've also done that as well. So
yeah, it's fun to cash.
Common ground.
I started off this Bay 101 with really playing great and had a really good stack with like 3 hands to go late in the night, and some goofball decides he's going to squeeze with king 6 offsuit, and I had jacks and he had a king on the river, and instead of having 120...
Was he big blind?
No, yeah, he's big blind, but instead of me having 120,000 chips going, or 200,000 chips going on day 2, I had 127, which is a big difference. It's 100 bigs, so 60 bigs. So, but I still have plenty of chips, and I told myself don't make a mistake in the first hour because it was a 10 a.m. start. And what did I do? I made a mistake in the first hour. So
king 6, ouch.
Yeah. I'm more upset about the call I made with 2 10s and like 20 minutes in a day too. It was just a really bad call. It was an amateur call, and I was just like, please let me overcome this. I won't make another mistake today. Please let me overcome this. And I almost did. I got it back up to 91. I was all in twice, but never at risk. So even though I was all in for my bounty, they were drawing dead both times when the money went in. So the only time I was out risk was for the whole tournament was the jacks versus ace king, and I was drawing dead on the flop. Once a king hit, there was no way a jack was ever coming. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do? Question.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Cover.
All
right. So you get it all in. Not all in. You call a big blind with ace queen.
Okay.
And
tell me the stack sizes.
Against pocket sevens, but you don't know.
Let me tell you something. You have to tell me the stack sizes. Somebody raised and you're in the big blind with ace queen.
Actually, ace queen is a lower chip stack, but not by a lot.
And was ace queen the raiser?
Yes, ace queen would have been the raiser.
Okay.
Would have been in the raised position.
Gotcha.
Okay. Coming up against pocket sevens. And when ace queen raises and pocket sevens just flat call.
Okay, that's the correct play.
But they are the chip lead, so they just flat call.
Okay.
But the flop comes to a straight draw.
What did the flop go?
It's a straight draw. It's all royal. It's all money. So So you end up you need a 10. Basically, it's an inside straight draw.
Okay, but
you're
confusing me. You got to tell me what the flop came, so I can try and figure out what you're saying.
I got somebody in my ear yelling at me.
WSLP main event. We want your autograph, Mike. We love you.
I'll be there.
Oh my God, we are actually coming out to Vegas in March.
You'll find me. I'm always look for the guy. Look for the guy in a scooter. I'm in the Doyle scooter, kind of scooting around because I can't really walk that well since my injury. But you'll find me. But listen, get back to this hand. You got me in a hand.
We will.
You got to tell me about this hand so I can answer your question.
The ace queen versus the 7-7.
Okay,
yes.
So ace queen raise, sevens fucking flatted. What'd the flop?
Right. What the fuck was it? I needed a fucking 10.
Okay, so the flop came king jack.
It was a fucking jack king.
The flop came king jack. If I have the king jack, if I have the ace queen. The guy who flatted, I'm probably going to put on a pocket pair. I'm probably going to bet half pot on the flop.
But it's like 7, so I mean, all I needed to do was pair any freaking card I had.
I would bet. Did you bet the ace queen or did you check the ace queen?
No, bet it, okay. And they actually called it. Did not raise with the 7. So
I would have bet it again. See, the thing is in the new day and age of poker, okay, if you bet the flop, you must bet the turn, okay? A lot of people are floating like he did with sevens, and they're floating with dog shit, hoping you'll check and they'll take the pot away from you.
So when you see the overs, even though the overs don't necessarily match what you have, but you still are actually
the chances are because he's like a chip leader,
potential flush or a straight draw.
Right. The fact that he's got a lot of chips, his range is like pocket pairs, like maybe even jack 10 suited. He doesn't have a king in his range there. He's probably 3-betting with king queen because of your stack size. So I would have probably bet the flop, and if he called, I would have bet another half pot on the turn, and you would have won it right there. You probably
okay. Here's my question: so if you bet the flop, and does it make you look weaker if you bet less on the turn,
No,
even though
I would
your
probably
hand
bet
doesn't
half
necessarily
pot.
get weaker.
I would probably bet half pot on the flop and then half pot on the turn. You know, I probably
Okay,
be
so
consistent.
you're still increasing your bet, but you're using it as pot value.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know what? If he calls you with 2 7s with the board, king fucking jack on the flop and the turn, well, God bless him. He'll be broke. So, you know. And plus,
you want those people in your game.
Right. And being
Ultimately,
a woman, like, you get a lot more respect when you bet than when you're not. It's like, oh, women aren't capable of, like, firing 2 shells without it. That's what they think, at least. So I always used to say if I was a woman poker player, God, I'd be robbing them blind, you know. So it's just...
if you're a woman and you can grow some balls, then great. That's perfect, right?
And you know, I used to say, there's a lot of great women poker players now. I mean, they've all studied GTO and all studied all this mathematics and the right call here and the right call there. So they've all become pretty good. The thing I realized the most after not playing a no-limit hold'em tournament for 2 years up until 3 weeks ago is you could take all the math you want. I said, just let me look at them and I know if they have me or not. It's like, I don't want to hear, well, this blocks this or this blocks this or he could have this. I want to look at them and I know if they have it or not. Anyways, I appreciate the call.
But, okay, well, the difference, I guess the difference between you and me is I don't know. I mean,
the difference between you and me is I've been playing for 22 years.
This is your profession.
Yeah. The difference between you and me is I've been playing for 22 years professionally, and I've probably played thousands of hours of part. Anyways, I got another call. I got to answer this. I appreciate the call, and I'll talk to you soon. Call anytime.
Good luck to you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike. What's going on?
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Good. Who's this?
This is P-Man. I'm a small-time poker streamer and big fan. How are you?
Oh, good, man. I'm doing all right. I'm just working on making sure these phone calls come through. I'm getting ready to launch my podcast tomorrow and going to be running it.
Where are you going to be having the podcast at?
Oh, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be on every streaming site that takes a podcast. So,
all right, dude. Well,
it's going to be big.
I don't really have much to talk about, but I just wanted to say, hey, and I'm going to be in. I just moved to Vegas. This is going to be my first World Series this summer, so I hope to see you there.
Oh, you'll see me. Look for the guy driving around the scooter that is really loud. That's me. I'll be on the scooter telling everybody to go fuck off and what a bunch of idiots they all are. That's pretty much what I do. And,
that sounds fantastic, dude. I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely.
For,
and I appreciate you calling. And once this podcast is up and going, it's going to be basically we're going to be talking about poker, a little bit of sports, politics if you really want to debate shit. And you know, it's going to be we have a rule. Mike the Mouthpiece podcast, no snowflakes allowed. So.
Oh, I like it.
You know, that's going to be the mantra. No snowflakes allowed. If you get offended, go fuck yourself. That's it.
I agree 100%, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'll let you go.
Thank you so much for calling, man.
Oh, no problem, dude. You have a wonderful night.
You do. Have a great weekend. Later.
You too. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Hey, we want to know why there's not more Raz tournaments in Vegas.
Fuck Raz tournaments, man. Fuck if that's Phil Hellmuth's best limit game. Any game that Phil Hellmuth plays limit good can't be much skill. Come on.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
No, that's all you want to know? I want more mixed game tournaments, man.
I was going to say, we need more variety.
No shit, this no limit hold'em shit's a joke. I've been playing it the last three weeks. It's like they're all a bunch of robots. So stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just go all in and don't even think a thing about it.
Yeah, they're a bunch of fucking idiots, man. I still play better than all of them. I'll challenge them all. Fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the call.
Well, if you're you're going to be in Vegas in July, we'll take you to dinner, man.
You got it. Just look for the guy on the scooter that's running his mouth. That's me.
That's
Elvis, guys.
All right. You have a great evening.
Hey, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Mike. What's going on, man?
No, not much. Who's this?
It's Sean.
Sean, what's up? Where are you from?
I am from Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, good place, man. Good place.
You ever been?
It's what time is it in Boston right now? Like midnight, 1 a.m.
It's
Oh
like,
shit,
no,
it's
it's like
2:20 in the morning.
It's like 2.
I love it. I love it.
It's pretty late, man.
Yeah,
What's going on, brother?
Well, we're trying to.
I just saw.
We're testing our phone systems for the podcast that is going up tomorrow, and we're gonna, if the phone calls are good, we're gonna play them. If you're a dickhead, we won't. Or maybe we will if you're a dickhead. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I just saw on your Twitter that you were taking calls. I just thought I'd say it. I call and say what's up and say good luck on your podcast, man.
I appreciate it so much, man. It's like I just got sick of listening to this fucking bullshit from all these kids that think they know everything. And I've been playing tournaments
Never mind
with them.
kids, just everyone, man. Everyone.
I've been playing the last 3 weeks in no-limit tournaments. I hadn't played a no-limit tournament 2 years. And I honest to God believe if I wasn't the best player, there might have been 2 or 3 that were as good, if maybe a little bit better than me. And I ain't played a tournament in 2 years in no limit. These people think they know it all. They don't know shit. And I'm gonna put them all back in the
Why have you not played in so long?
Well, I've been really sick since I had an injury, which kind of financially destroyed me. So basically, I'm not able to travel. So I'm basically only able to play, the World Series of Poker. I play usually the LAPC once a year, which is right down the street from Vegas. And then I just got back from the Bay 101 yesterday. They didn't have it last year. And those are usually the only 2 no-limit tournaments I played. And then I play at the World Series. I play all the mixed game tournaments because even though I'm kind of famous for no-limit hold'em, I'm probably one of the best mixed game players in the world. And that's what I've done the last 2 years. And I've been real successful. I've had 17 cashes in 32 events with like 6 final tables.
Absolutely.
So, that's what I've been doing.
I read your book.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, bro.
I'm glad to hear.
I love that book. I read it twice, actually.
I
let all my friends borrow it. I have a group of friends here in Boston. We all play poker. They all read it. It's amazing, man. I loved it.
Well, I'm in the process of writing another one called Check Raising the Devil 2, The Devil Raised Back. And
no way.
That's basically going to talk about all the horrible things that have happened to me since I wrote Check Raising the Devil. I mean, you can't make this shit up what's happened to me since 2010.
Dude, I'm telling you, your podcast, all you have to do is talk about that stuff.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to do. That's what the guy I talked to at the Venetian the other day, or at the Wynn tournament the other day, says, just get on there. He says, you don't even have to write another book. He says, just get on there and talk about everything that's been going on in your life for the last 10 years. He goes, then take some phone calls from people. He goes, and your podcast will blow up. And I said, okay.
Yeah. I hit you up on Twitter. I said that, man. Your life is so crazy, and you have so many crazy stories. People want to hear this stuff, man.
Exactly. That's what he told me.
I listen to podcasts all the time. There's such a market for this, man. You just tell your stories. I will listen every week. I'll call you every
and if you're
week,
interesting, and you know what my book was, so you know that you know everything I say and do is from the heart. I'm not.
Oh yeah,
I don't bullshit.
Definitely.
So.
Oh yeah, I could tell. I read twice, man. I never read books twice. I read the book twice, bro.
Right, and I appreciate it, man.
Just stick to you, man.
Yeah.
You are. No one can do you better than you, man.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
It's
awesome. Just do that and good luck, man.
Have a great weekend and get some sleep.
Yeah.
Peace,
good luck
man.
with that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, later, bro.
Peace. Bye.
The Mouthpiece.
Hi, this is Ari Engel, and I'm listening to The Mouthpiece.
Moving forward, let's talk about high roller events. What's your opinion on these high roller events?
Yeah, I think they make for good TV, good streaming and stuff like that. I kind of think the same way Daniel does. I know Daniel's been pretty vocal about the fact that people are, just become robots that are all covered up in hoodies and stuff, and not talking at the table. I think that part of it makes it less interesting. I also feel like it's inflated the all-time money list to where a guy like you that doesn't play in those, you just get further and further down the list.
Thank
every
you.
day.
I mean, that's it's a big. To me, it's like an insult to somebody like me whose ROI is, I guarantee you, way higher than any of those people that are above me, or at least 90% of them. I really think that they talk about the GPI and the sportifying of poker. I think it's imperative that if they want to do that mainstream, they need to, when you enter a tournament and you cash whatever, it goes to your all-time money winnings. If you enter a $300,000 buy-in tournament and you're out, it subtracts from your all-time money list. And then you won't have people that are like, just took over, like, look, Justin Bonomo's a great player. I don't want to take nothing best away from him. Some guy that wins that just runs good, hits 5 high rollers in a row, and now he's like the all-time money list. I'm like, it's just a spit in the face to me, Daniel, Phil, Doyle, just everybody. I just, people will say, well, who gives a fuck? Well, it does, as far as like people on the outside looking in, like, hey, should I look at this guy's so high up on the high money list, maybe we should endorse him in doing this, or maybe it's a big, I'll use a Trumpian word, it's a big hoax. It's all a big hoax. The high rollers are all a big hoax.
Again, you see that and you think that poker was always about the money. So those that made the most money or had the most all-time winnings were the best player.
Right.
That might be true. Maybe Justin Bono is the best player, but
right.
The sad part is the other part about poker is that you would always get to play with those players.
Right.
Now, a guy like Bono is never going to play, 5K if they 101 or a 1K tournament. You're not going to play with those guys anymore. Those guys just don't exist.
No.
Daniel's talking about next year coming out to the LA Poker Classic, and I really hope he does. He's talking about going out there doing vlogs and playing on all the $300 buy-ins and $500 buy-ins, $1,000 buy-ins.
Good luck.
To try and become player of the series.
I heard Daniel say
really
he was
cool.
thinking about doing that this year too, and I was like, yeah, okay, good luck. But again, I noticed that at the Bay 101, and I want to commend and say thank you to Dan Smith, who did show up the Bay 101, who didn't need to again, and that shows a lot of character in a person, and I respect that a lot. And you know me, I have no problems talking bad about anybody if I don't respect them. I don't respect somebody that Antonio, who's my friend, but he promised to show up and cancels the day before and doesn't show up. I mean, I'll just call it out like it is. It's just a disservice to the people that made you a shooting star, who put you on the promo, who put them out on your flyer. Shooting stars, this is who's going to be playing. When you commit to something, your word is your bond. If you don't show up, it's just not right. And
he says he's training for a boxing match.
He is training for a boxing
Kevin
match.
Hart.
But he could have.
That was the reason. But I understand. So there's situations that happen and things come up. But I look to a guy like Eric Seidel too, who's been there every year. He comes out there. It's really cool. I mean, David Peters played in that. Yeah. David Peters is the guy that just plays high rollers, but he's a grinder. And I mean, it's cool to see those guys come out and play these things. I miss it. I miss the fact that Daniel's not there.
I couldn't believe it.
For
I
our
was
local
shocked.
players, it really kind of hurts the event, because that's the people that they want to come see. And, Daniel's really good about that kind of thing.
He always shows. I could not believe Daniel wasn't there. I didn't know if he committed or not, but I knew that he wasn't there and he wasn't going to be there because my friend Ben saw him at the airport and he said he was going out to LA for some food tasting with his girl or whatever. I'm just like, okay, so food tasting is more important than I just think Bay 101 treats the players so good. They're so good to us there. For years, they give us back something from showing up. I mean, does any other poker tournament give us back anything? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, there are a few here and there that do. And I I do really think that it's a different type of event. But that does definitely hurts the event when even Antonio was a local there for a long time.
Right,
so,
right. I know he was. He was from Northern
It's sad
California.
that he's not there. I mean, I really want to. They're my friends too. So
I
feel like it's it's kind of me asking a personal favor to be there now because they don't play smaller buy-in events anymore, and it wasn't a WPT, so that kind of hurt the event also. But you know what? I think in the end, the locals had a great time, and it was really
perfect.
It went perfectly.
It was so perfect for the locals, Matt. It was the absolute. This is I don't know how to explain this, but I was trying to tell people this is what your average what every poker tournament should do. Back when we first started the World Poker Tour, you remember there was 20 of us, then there was 25 of us, then there was 30 of us, 50 of us, 100 of us, 200, and it didn't just blossom into hundreds of people overnight. You know what I'm saying? We worked hard. We went to stops playing with each other, but it was also about satelliting people into a tournament. And I just don't understand why these casinos don't, from day one after their tournament ends, on the very next week going and start doing satellites for let's just say the LAPC 2020. I mean, they could run a $100 satellite guaranteeing one seat. And if they get 80 players, well, so they eat a couple grand, okay? But eventually they're going to make that up in rake, and they're going to make that up in everything else. And then you got 500 satellite winners. See, what made Bay 101 so special this time, and I will talk about it a lot because I really think it's what poker needs to start going towards is, yes, it was a shooting stars tournament. 225 people won their seat satellite into this tournament, and there was only 300 seats. So you separated the shooting stars, so you didn't get a bad table draw. All the shooting stars sat at a table with 7 satellite winners, okay? And by the time people who didn't win a satellite wanted to get in, well, guess what? A lot of those satellite winners had already dumped their stack, and it gave people who won satellites a more than fair shot to have a good chance to make a big score. I mean, they didn't have to face 3 or 4 top pros at their table ever. Maybe on day 3 they had to. But this is how poker needs to be set up. If they want to have a ranking system like Global Poker Index, okay, when they buy into a tournament, you got to separate everybody, just like they do in a tennis tournament. They rank them 1 through 16 or whatever, and they separate, from 1 to 300 or whatever. And by doing this, by having a shooting star at each table with the satellite winners, I think it was a perfect tournament for the locals there. I mean, they had to be just ecstatic to be able to play with the players they played with, give themselves a chance at a big payday without having to face tons and tons of pros. I just thought it was just a great tournament for them.
Well, I think I've been saying for years, and I am stronger on it now than ever, that I feel that satellites are the key to having a great event.
They are.
You saw it at the LA Poker Classic. It was definitely the best field that we've had there in years. Because we had that big satellite. They were at 152 seats that were awarded the day before, and most of those players that came in through that got in for 175 in our nightly or 150 in our nightly satellite. So we had a great field of satellite winners, and I also feel like the fact that they're in at the start of the tournament makes it for a bigger number, so people that maybe in LA or in Vegas or in Northern California see that you start with a big number, and so they can get on a flight and come down. So I think that's another reason not only to keep the registration up a little bit longer, but to have those satellites. I just think it's so important for these events to give the smaller mind player a shot at the dream of winning one of these major titles. And
absolutely.
Time and
that's
time
what
again,
it's all about.
where these satellite players make final table and make life-changing money for just a small amount. I just think it's so important.
It's everything. It's what we built tournament poker for. It's what we built the WPT for. It's what everything was built around. It wasn't. That's why I'm like, one thing I was talking to Antonio the other day, and I'm like, they said, well, why didn't you play that big cash game at Live at the Bike? He goes, I play against 7 fish, sir. I don't play against 7 pros. And I started laughing because it's very true. Like the high roller thing, like who wants to see who's dick's bigger and who's better than you. And everybody's all great players, you know what I'm trying to say? And everybody's going to go on rushes, and you'll see, as long as the high roller scene goes on, you'll notice every year somebody will go on a big run, and there won't be somebody winning 2-3 years in a row dominating the high rollers. It's not going to happen because everybody's a great player. So, I think we have to go back to how we used to be, and everybody who signs up for a World Poker Tour event or even if it's not a World Poker Tour event, that runs satellites to, I don't understand why they can't just run them year round. There should be 500. If there's 1,000 people at a tournament, there should be 500 people that won their seat through like $100 buy-in. They just should, I
totally agree. I think satellites are, the key to getting people into these big events. And, it works with the WSOP too, where they have these satellites running around the country, for people to get in. But even now there's less and less of those because people want to promote their own event. And I understand that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I do notice that I'm going to talk about the World Series of Poker for a second, that they put in a lot of small buy-in tournaments this year for bracelet events. I am not a big proponent of this. I would rather see them they don't have that roped off big satellite area. Do you remember we used to have 30 satellite tables, tons of single tables. You go, you bought in, you went to that table. There should be a cashier right by the satellite area, just their own separate one at the World Series, own cashier for satellite buy-ins only, big roped up area with a big lights in the sky say, buy in satellites, win your seat to $1,000 tournament for $100, for $10,000 for $1,000. I don't think they need to go with $500 buy-in tournaments to win a bracelet. They could just, promote small satellite buy-ins to win your seat into these events. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I think you're going to have a big, massive field for the Open event. I think they're doing a good thing because it's a 50th anniversary. They're not charging rake on that first event. It's just going to be a massive.
Oh, they're not.
Massive
See, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know that they have more single table satellites at the World Series than anywhere else. Yeah. So I know that they have people that just go in there. They don't even play the tournaments. They just play the satellites. So you're not forced to play into the satellites when you win because you win the tournament buy-in chips.
Right.
But I think that they do a good job there with the single table satellites. And, there are certain places that still do a really good job with mega satellites and with, stuff like that. But, again, I just think it's key that we do that. Mm-hmm. You got to give people a chance at the dream. If you don't, I think that the poker industry is going to go back, 100%. Down. And I think, I know that there's more and more poker being played than people think. It's just so spread out now. Whereas before, you only had a few big tournaments a year. Now there's, a $1,000 tournament down the street pretty much across the country all the time. So, competition's tougher. You got to do what you can to try and make players travel to your events, and it's not always easy. But again, I think that poker's definitely not dead. It's definitely still
poker's not dead,
alive and well.
The cap people. Most of the poker world is financially hurting. I know that because I interview a lot of people, and they all basically say the same thing. As far as cash games, they've speaking of cash games, what do you think of the fact that a casino people are able to run private games in a casino, and they take all the fish out of the games, and they don't let you in the game. And that's it. They run it, whether it's at the Aria or Bellagio, wherever. What's your opinion on that? I'm really, whether I was in the game or not, I'm against it.
Luckily, I'm not really involved in all that.
Right.
Thank goodness, because I have too much time dealing in.
But you've heard about these things, right?
Yeah, and home games too. I know that.
I don't care about
a lot of home games going on and stuff, and I would not want to play. If I was playing, I don't think home games have changed to what they used to be. Home games would always be small stakes fun and things come over and let's have pizza and play home games. Those to me are, vital to the poker industry. I think that people, know that that's how a lot of people got into the game through home games and stuff like that. But now what's happening is that the bigger stakes home games are going on, and people, I just don't feel like I would want to play in one of those games. I wouldn't want to feel like I could be cheated or anything like that. But I know you're talking about private games at at casinos. And
right.
Of course, poker was always you show up with your money and you get to play.
Right.
Anybody can play, and it's changed and it's gotten away from that a little bit. I think that's a little bit sad because I really would love to see more people come into the games and be able to play. But I think that you get certain players that are trying to protect other players and keep them to themselves, which is definitely a problem.
I call it I call them the scumbags of poker. The people that are greedy. They sit in the game. The fish leaves. They quit. They're bad for poker. They'll never start a 3-handed game with couple tough players and wait for a couple fish to jump in. And I always have this thing: if you want to play in a good game, you got to start bad games a lot of times. And I'm a nit. People call me nit. That's fine, but I'm a game starter. I'll start head up. I'll start 3-handed. Those people that take that 8th seat and wait for that 8th seat to fill up, and as soon as one player goes broke, they get up. Those are people that are just bad for poker. I don't think they bring anything to the table, and I call them out. Those are the real nits. Those are the people that are bad for poker. So, right. I like to call them out. Me, I don't hold shit back. But
definitely don't, Mike.
No, I mean I have no filter. I mean I have more of a filter than our president, but which is pretty hard to believe. But I do have no filter. I have no problem with that. I do also know when to just shut up and not say anything. Back in the old days, I had no problems when a guy put a bad beat on him, calling him a fucking idiot and making fun of him because there was 1,000 other of those players behind them. But nowadays, there's just not enough bad players. So when they beat me, I just look at them and say, "Nice hand." As much as inside, I want to say, "You fucking idiot."
Well, I know one thing, Mike. You're passionate about poker. It's been your life. It's been your craft and something that you take very serious. I see you at your highs and at your lows, and I know that you have a ton of passion for the game. So, I do commend you for that. I know that it's not always easy. There's definitely highs and definitely lows.
Tough way to make an easy living. That's what we used to always say. And it's a lot tougher now since my injury and stuff. But things are on the uptick, and you got to see me in L.A. I showed a lot of emotion before the main event. I showed a lot of emotion the whole time towards the main event, and I guarantee. I know you don't like to take sides or root for people, but I know deep in your heart you were probably rooting for me harder than anybody in that whole place.
Well, I kept on telling you got to keep trying.
That was fun. Up. It was fun that you kept coming by. Keep trying, Mike. Keep trying, Mike. And you see me. I ain't said a fucking word in 3 days. My head's like so focused, and you're like, man, Mike is dialed in, man. And every time you walk by and say, keep trying, I'm like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. They just doubled me up, Matt. But I'll start trying now. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I as much as I commend all the new poker players, old school poker players, I think me and Helmut have talked about this a lot, is the fact that a lot of the younger poker players, I don't know if they mean it or they just are trying to get into my head or Phil's head or whatever, but I just kind of almost wish, like, if you look at like all sports, I'm not saying poker's a sport or anything, it depends what you think, but people always respected the people that came before them. I mean, you always hear people say, even with Gronk retiring today, you see all the tweets saying, thanks for working hard, thanks for bringing what you brought to the table, thanks for leaving everything you had on the football field. You know what I'm saying? And I just wish a lot of the younger players would say, not just me, Phil, Daniel, Todd Brunson, just always say, thank you, once in a while, because like they wouldn't have what they have today. So many of these people that are making big livings playing poker, they wouldn't have that if it wasn't for me and Phil and Daniel and the Doyle Brunson and Ivy and people who put their blood and guts on the table 16 hours a day in cash in tournaments and going around the country playing against each other for a while, trying to build up poker to where it is today. And I just, instead of knocking the old school players, just say, hey, thank you. Once in a while, it would mean a lot to somebody. Like, I know it would mean a lot to me. And
I'm on the other side of that, and I feel the same way about the World Poker Tour. And I feel like, the World Poker Tour really did a lot to raise the game, to level the game, and made it what it is today. And without, the whole card cams and you guys playing and being there in the beginning,
correct,
we don't have what we have today. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's just a sad thing that, now it's like, what are you going to do for us? Whereas they've been doing stuff for the players forever.
Right.
And, I still try to. I want to make the World Poker Tour the friendly tour. I want to do more things for the champions. And, you need to get in that champions club, by the way, Mike.
I got a plan to get in them.
We try harder than anybody else to make it player friendly. And I think that, making it fun and making it player friendly is important for the World Poker Tour. So I really want to stress that, I think that a lot of gratitude's owed to the guys, the Steve Lipscombs and the guys that, put it out there and really took some chances. Lyle Berman.
Oh, I remember.
Put his money on the line to make the World Poker Tour a real thing. And it's still alive 17 years later. And, there's been some changes. We have to make the final tables at the esports arena, so we can keep production costs down. I think that's something that players have gotten behind. We had 3 final tables there a couple weeks ago. It was awesome.
I heard it was really good. I was going to come down.
Really good.
I was going to come down and back David Baker, and because I'm real happy he won. By the way, one for the old school players. That's all I got to say.
You were going to come down, but I wish you would have, because I wish you would have seen it. And I wish remember the old days. You had a guy that made the final table. Everybody would come and watch it. Everybody would say, this is awesome. This is a life changer, right? I mean, David Baker was emotional. He was near tears at the end. He said he's worked his whole life for something like this, and it's awesome to see somebody that's put their life into it, like you have, like he has, like others have, and for them to be rewarded, with the $1 million score. It just
it's just great.
Family and friends and relationships, and you've had girlfriends and stuff, and people have stuck with you through thick and thin. And
I mean, my girl, that's why as much as I want to just like sometimes whack her in the head, I just can never leave her, because she stayed with me while I'm broke and paralyzed. I mean, how can I find a better woman than that, right? I mean,
sure.
Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine what she'd be long gone if I was rich and famous? She'd be like, she'd have took all my money, gone on to the next guy. She keeps hoping, she keeps thinking it's going to happen again. Don't tell her it's probably not going to happen again. No, I'll be back on top, and you know what? I will get my name on that Champions Trophy one day.
There you go.
The thing is. I am such a proponent. I am so against re-entries that I will only play the tournaments that are freeze-outs. Or I'll go to Bay 101 where you have the one optional re-entry usually. Even like this year, I was mad. And you remember I came up to you, I'm like, what do you mean unlimited re-entries? You're against re-entries, Mike. And your exact words to me were, don't worry, Mike. If you get knocked out, you'll be lucky to re-enter one time. And you were right.
You're right.
There was nobody that was able to. If they were, I'd like to know who re-entered more than once. It's just like I make fun of them. But you're right. So and I like that, and LAPC is a freeze out, and if they start making all these other tournaments freeze outs, I will travel to them and play them. People think that I don't win because I can't win no more. No, I don't play them. I win at the World Series of Poker. I've smashed the World Series of Poker the last 2 years. I haven't got a bracelet, but I'll put my record against anybody, and I have played 32 events. I've got 17 cashes and 6 final tables. I want to hear anybody else that's done better than that. So, I'm still playing good, and that's with me in chronic pain every day, Matt. Now that I got the spinal cord stimulator, and the only pain I have is down my leg and into my foot, which still hurts. But all the other pain not being there, it's going to be a lot easier to play better poker. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
All right. Well,
I saw it. I did see it at LAPC. I saw it Bay 101. I see Mike Matasoto might be back. So
I'm back, bro. I'm back. Trust me when I tell you this. I'm back. I know especially No Limit. I didn't play a lot of No Limit events because I'm like, oh, they all play so good now. They're all GTO, Matt. That's all Matt. They don't care. They call here. Well, you know what? Phil Hellmuth said one thing to me. He said, Mike, you were the best in the world for 10 years in this game. You forgot how good you played. And he kept bringing me confidence every day in L.A. And honestly, I played down there. I played at the Wynn. I played at the Bay 101. I mean, I thought I played as good, if not better, than everybody. I think I saw two people I thought that might have played better than me. And both of them made the final table at the LAPC, so it doesn't shock me. So yeah, you know, my confidence.
Well, it's great that you could admit that. A lot of people can't admit that people play better than them. And I think that's part of that. The ego is part of the game too. So yeah.
That's the old saying. What's my favorite saying, Matt? Egos will break you, cards will make you. Don't ever, ever forget it. Because if you don't catch cards, you could be the greatest. Chip Reese used to tell me that. Mike, you could be the best player in the world, and you don't ever have to win a tournament. And he's right. He's 100% right.
It's true.
You know? But the best players in the world are going to give themselves a chance to win a tournament a lot more than people that aren't. And that's what you got to do. You got to, you know, give yourself a chance to get lucky, which is, you know, that's the bottom line, you know. So we're gonna go now that we're done. I think we've pretty much covered all the poker things. Let's talk about what we and you really have in common: the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay, I, as a sports fanatic, my whole life, was never into hockey. I watched hockey during the playoffs because they were always fun to watch. There was intensity. I didn't know what the fuck I was watching. I didn't know the word. I didn't know the rules. I didn't know what offsides were. I didn't know what hooking was, holding. I didn't know what. I just liked to watch it, and there was intense, and they'd fight each other. It was fun. But now that we got a team out here that is really excelling, and it's just amazing. It's just there's so much fun to go to all the games. I mean, what does it feel like being a San Jose Shark fan your whole life, and now living in Vegas? And I don't know if you're ready to admit this yet, but you're now a Golden Knights fan.
I'm definitely a Golden Knights fan. You know, I was there when they named the team. I was there when they drafted the players. I was there opening night. I was there for the first season, and it's awesome. You know, my wife and son and daughter are now diehard Vegas Golden Knights fans, and I just want to get more people into hockey. And I know that the Vegas Golden Knights have not only got more people into hockey,
the NHL,
but I really feel like it. You know, with the tragedy of October 1, brought the city together. Now the city has a lot more soul to it because I think we stuck together when we went through that hard time, and I think the Vegas Golden Knights kind of rose us up to be. You can't go, one or two cars without seeing a Golden Knights license plate or a Golden Knights sticker or a license plate frame, and people wearing stuff all over town. You know, it's a real thing for us now, and I'm really behind that. You know, I'm still a big San Jose Sharks fan, and but I did get knighted at the arena.
I was there when you got knighted. I was there, and I'm thinking to myself, he's a fake! He's a fake! I'm like, he's a San Jose Sharks fan. He's not really being knighted. He's a fake. I was screaming, and me and Ben were laughing. And I'm like, no, he's a fake! It was so funny. If you had a video around me when you got knighted, when you were doing the thing, it was so funny. And I found it pretty funny, and it's even like my best friend Ben real well. So he's a diehard Penguin fan, and he says, I don't care if we ever play the Penguins in the Cup final, it'll be fuck Vegas, fuck them. It'll be all Penguins. And I just don't believe that, because when we've gone to the Penguin games, and even this last one when we won 7-3, and he was like, he went with his mom, and I went and sat with, I think I went with my girlfriend, and after the game, we met up. That's right. I went with Stacy. Dawn was out of town, so we were all talking about the Pittsburgh, and Ben was like, "Well, we expected to lose. We played the night before, and I don't really care. At least they lost to Vegas. That was always the thing with him. Now, at least they lost to Vegas. So, when when we go back to the Cup final and smash the Sharks this year, what are you going to say? At least we lost to Vegas. Hey, what's wrong with your Sharks, by the way? They just lost to Anaheim and the LA Kings back to back on a 5-game losing streak. Yeah. I mean, is the injuries catching up to them, or is it just the lull? I mean, I felt this team was the best team in the West all year, San Jose, and they look like, I don't even know what they look like right now.
Well, goaltending has been bad.
We know Jones has
Erik
been
Karlsson's
bad
hurt, and
right.
So they've got some way to catch up. But I think the Golden Knights looked great last week, and they looked terrible yesterday.
Oh my God, they were so bad yesterday.
So you got to get hot at the right time.
The funny thing about watching yesterday's game is like we literally got a point. How did we get a point yesterday? Our team, the other team, was playing so hard, and we were just like. We weren't doing anything. I was telling my girl, I'm like, we're going to lose this game. I couldn't believe we even, when we took the 2-1 lead, I'm just like, wow, if we win this game, I don't even know how many in a row we might win. And then 10 seconds later, they tied it up. But yeah, going into the playoffs, I mean, what people don't realize, like I consider like what happened last year with us going to the Cup final one of the greatest sporting accomplishments of all time. If we would have won, it would have topped the Miracle on Ice. I think. I mean, I just think that people don't. You can't take an expansion team to the fucking NHL finals. I mean, Washington got to the finals. They were going crazy just by beating Pittsburgh. I mean, right. They were first time ever in the finals, and I just hope the Vegas fans don't get spoiled on what we had last year. That's all I hope, because if they're expecting what happened last year to happen every year, then I don't know what's going to – I hope the fan base is strong enough that they could endure when things are bad, because it won't be rosy like this. It'll be rosy like this for 5 years, but what's going to happen 8-9 years down the road is I hope everybody remembers the good times,
For sure, and I think they're going to take some ups and downs to see who the real fans are, but it's fine. I think Vegas is – like I said, they've got a team now. They're strong. They're behind them, and I think that's a great thing. So, I love having hockey here. I love that more and more people are getting into it, and I just think that's.
I mean, no matter who we play, we sell out. I mean, we have sold out every single game for almost 2 seasons, and sometimes even had the overflow of like an extra 1,000 people or more. So it's pretty great that you could play a Detroit Red Wing team that's like second worst record in the league and still sell it out plus, so it's really good. I think the addition of Stone has really changed our team. I never thought I would say this again, but I think we're the favorites to come out of the West. I know that sounds crazy, us not having home court and stuff, but it just seems like we have the best goaltender, and I don't think his injury's serious. I think it has more to do with him having a baby and taking some time off. I don't know if you know more than I do, but
I think that's it too. I hope that's it.
I hope that's it too, because if Fleury's playing the way he's been playing, God, we're going to be tough to beat in that Western Conference. So
you got to be healthy, and you got to be hot at the right time. That's the way it is. I mean, Washington wasn't supposed to win last year, but they just got hot at the right time.
They came back. I mean, Washington would have been out in the first round if that was that. I think it was like with a minute to go, like Columbus was going to go up 3-0, and some kind of crazy play happened. I'm trying to remember what happened. They ended up going to overtime, winning it in overtime to cut the series to 2-1. But Washington would have never came back from 3-0. Just like I think if Holtby don't make that save and we tie the game and find a way to win game 2, I don't think Washington ever comes back down 2-0 against us, because the momentum all changed. They got a game in Vegas where Vegas was unbeatable. They took all the momentum in. I think Gallant made the adjustment he needed to make in game 5. I wish he would have made the adjustment in game 4. And it's unfortunate we lost game 5. That was a game we never should have lost, and who knows what would have happened. But it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the NHL playoffs coming up, and it's going to be fun. Okay, everybody. So now we're going to take some questions. I'm going to read you some questions, Matt, and you can answer them on air for me. Does Savage make more as a tournament director or on the golf course?
Well, since I've been losing on the golf course lately, definitely it's tournament director.
What is your obsession with hairy squirrels?
With hairy squirrels? That's just Mike Norrie, and that's my friend. And he has what he calls a squirrel. This is his hairy back.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Why does he putt from 85 yards away?
I putt from 85 yards away. I did it today, as a matter of fact, because I can't chip.
You can't chip. There you go. Okay. Can you talk to Matt about the cranberry suit, where it went, when its replacement will be coming, and if there is a future for mustard ties? Also, to talk about my fanny pack and the odds it makes a comeback. Well, that's from Mike O'Malley. We know who Mike O'Malley is. Well, what's your answer on that?
That's for you. It's your fanny pack.
Well, my fanny pack hasn't gone anywhere. I don't understand where he thinks it's making a comeback. I mean, I bring it with me every day. I don't know where he thinks I'm. I don't have the fanny pack. Do you still have the cranberry suit?
On the cranberry suit, I burned it for charity.
Oh, wow.
A lot of money raised, like $12,000.
Oh, there it is. Money raised for the Mexican earthquake. There it is. Smoldering ashes of Matt Savage's suit. There you go. All right.
But it was good for a good cause, but hopefully I'll get another one at some point. I knew I was going to bring it back. There's a video out there about the burning of it and why we did it. And unfortunately, my friend Tom Hall in Hong Kong didn't like it, so he made me burn it for charity, which I did. And like I said, let's hope it makes a comeback at some point. But that one is sadly gone. And it was,
yes,
I willed that. I actually put that in my actual will for Mike O'Malley.
Yeah,
so
and
I feel like I have to do.
He said I have proof he wrote the suit into his will and was leaving it to me. That's pretty funny. Wasn't that the suit that you wore in Lucky You?
No, it was not the suit I wore in Lucky You.
Are you still getting? You know what? I want to ask you a question. Are you still getting money from Lucky You?
I am.
You are.
Checked the other day.
What are those things called? What are those residuals?
Residuals.
Residuals. He gets his like 2,000 every like 6 months or something, right?
Nah, probably a little less than that.
Maybe a little less.
More like 200 every 6 months.
Oh, right. Well, you know, 200.
For a time, you
get the 200. You take the kids out to a movie, and everything's good. Here's one from a guy. His name is Privileged Victim. Can he call the floor over if he loses 10 straight flips?
You would. So I guess he can too.
There you go.
Again, I want to treat everybody fairly.
You heard it. Okay, and then we're going to go to this last one here, and then we're going to let you off the air. If he wasn't a successful poker tournament director, that's you. What else would you like to be doing professionally? That's from Erica from Adventure, Florida.
At one point, I wanted to be a professional bowler, but I was never.
That makes two of us.
Enough, and the equipment got too good, so it kind of changed the game. So it wasn't.
That makes two of us.
Anymore. Yeah, I always wanted to be a bartender. To be honest, that would be a really cool job. I know I'd be good at it. I like
tournament director to bartender. That's like
I'd like to do that.
That's like AOC from bartender to congresswoman. You know. That's,
there you go.
I'm trying to compare you to something here. So, it's funny we talk about bowling. I didn't know you were into bowling. You know, I was the same way. I used to average 208 before the equipment got really good. All of a sudden, these people that I smashed were smashing me once the equipment got good, and I'm just like, what the heck's going on here? And then bowling became just every Joe Blow was averaging 220, and it really wasn't. I kind of lost my feel for it. Let me ask you something about bowling while we're talking about bowling. I got my 300 game in my 800 series. I threw my bowling balls down and never picked them up again for 8 years. Did you ever get a 300 game or an 800 series?
I have 24 300s.
Oh my God!
No 800s. A bunch of 790s and 780s, but I never did. I never had an 800.
He's got 24 300s, but I've got an 801. I got an 801 and a 300 game in the same series. But Yeah, and then I had this ex-girlfriend of mine. She stole both my 300 ring and my 800 ring, and all the rest is history. These are the girls I used to date, so whatever. God, I can't believe you were a bowler. That's amazing. Unfortunately, my bowling career is over because of my injury, but it was over anyways. But I used to love, I bought all new equipment and was getting back into it, and I was practicing every day, and I was starting to throw like 200 every day, and then all of a sudden, I should have figured something was wrong with my shoulder right then and there because my back was killing me, and it didn't make any sense. And well, now it all makes sense. So, Matt, it's been a pleasure having you on the first episode of my podcast. I couldn't have asked for a more honest, more truthful, better, just a great all-around person to be on my first episode.
Mike, I'm glad to see you back playing again and showing the passion that you have for the game. It's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is like it all comes from being out of pain. As far as like I'm sitting here right now. We've been on the phone probably an hour and a half up until I had the spinal cord stimulator put in. I mean, my side and my back would be in so much pain. Now the only thing that hurts is my foot, which they said they can't do anything about because I got permanent spinal cord damage. It's causing the foot pain. But I whatever. I could just get one of those Doyle scooters and scoot around the World Series and scoot around. And that's what I did at the Win last week. I got me a scooter. I scooted around and, no pain, and I was good. So
good to see you smiling. And I'm telling you, I had neck surgery myself, so I know what that's like.
God, I remember when I had it. The day before, the big tournament or something in the LAPC. Sure. It was like an emergency surgery on your neck. I was like, and you came right on down. And they said, "Don't fly." And here you come walking in with your neck brace on at the LAPC.
Yeah, that was
Matt, you're supposed to be in bed.
Seminole Hard Rock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Seminole Hard Rock. That's right. You flew across the country.
I put together this $10 million guarantee, and I thought it was important that I be there. I got poured all my time and energy and promotion into that one event, and it went off as a huge success.
Yeah.
So, those guys at Seminole Hard Rock.
Because that was when
he put a lot of trust in me, so I wanted to repay him by fulfilling my obligation.
I remember that like it was yesterday. That was like the year before my injury, and I remember I was in one bullet, and Justin Bonomo won that tournament. He was in 9. That's when I said re-entry tournaments are bad for poker, because how'd you like to win a satellite, that $10 million guarantee, and say, how'd that guy win? I had 5 different players say, wait, I busted him. How do you win? I just think that's bad for poker. So, I'm going to, on my podcast, I'm going to really push trying to end re-entries, and I'd rather have people play like a week longs of events without re-entries. Like now like you said, now they just show up for the main event. If there's no re-entries and there's tournaments to play every day, I think that maybe we can get that going. So
push mixed games too, man.
I'm
you to push
pushing it. Mixed games,
I think that's the key. If we get more people playing mixed games, the field's better. There's more fun.
I love
a lot of people out there
games.
were enjoying playing mixed games. We had a player of the series at the LAPC, so the smaller buy-ins and stuff, people were chasing player of the series. So we're getting those no-limit players playing it, and they're like, hey, this is pretty fun to do. So
mixed games
keep pushing mixed games too.
Well, people don't understand mixed games is where all the money is. I mean, it's like it's unless you're in a home game, it's tough to make a living in a casino playing no limit hold'em. So you better learn how to play mixed games, and maybe I'll open a site and teach people. I haven't decided yet. I don't know. I don't want people to know how to play mixed games. It's my bread and butter, So we'll see. But thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mr. Matt Savage, for coming on the show, and I wish you the best of luck, and I'll talk to you soon.
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matiso on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. I hope you enjoyed episode 1 here on the Mouthpiece. Tune in weekly for a lot of fun, commentary, craziness. If you are easily offended, fuck off.
The Mouthpiece.